School Corporation will meet in regular session at 7 p.m. on Tuesday, June 17th at Lebanon High School. This meeting is a meeting of the school board in public for the purpose of conducting the school corporation's business and is not to be considered a public community meeting. There will be time for public participation as indicated in the agenda. The meeting site is fully accessible. Any person requiring further accommodation should contact the superintendent at the school corporation's central office. Mr. Hendricks, would you lead us in the pledge?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. And all of our members are present except for Mr. Havlin, who unfortunately could not get away from work to join us. Mission statement.
Lebanon Community School Corporation challenges everyone every day to reach and invest.
Thank you. We now need to approve the minutes from the May 20th, 2025 regular meeting and certify the executive content for that same date. Can I have a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Can I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right. Moving on to superintendent's announcements and celebration.
Thank you, Mrs. Hutchison. Just a couple this evening. Just wanted to once again congratulate our class of 2025 for successful graduation as we've moved them on to their next stage of life. And I didn't do the math. Maybe an elementary principal can tell me. We're welcoming the class of our kindergarten class. We're welcoming the class of 2036 this in a couple months. To our elementary schools, so hard to believe, but congratulations to our graduates. Just also wanted to thank the community members, administrators, school board members who've attended our community outreach sessions that we've been holding in tandem with Friends of Lebanon Schools. We have 2 more. Tomorrow evening we will be at the Lebanon Public Library from 6 to 7:30, and then we'll have our final community outreach meeting on Wednesday, June 25th at the Golf Club of Indiana. So welcome anyone to come. A lot of information to share about the school district and answers folks' questions. And we've enjoyed engaging with the community during those sessions. That's all I have this evening.
Okay, thank you. Now we move to informational items, school construction renovation update and energy savings project.
Thank you, Mrs. Hutchison. Before we get to the energy savings project update from Mr. McKinney, I just did want to update the board. At the last school board meeting, the board will remember authorizing myself and Mr. Parks to begin to speak with a design firm for the construction of a road that would connect Grant Street through to our new road that was built as part of transportation. I just did want to notify the board that we were able to go ahead and release A&F Design to begin really a partial release for the design on that road. As this is being funded with excess funds as a part of our 2023 authorization for transportation in middle school, we clearly want to have a good idea of what we're getting into before we fully release the design on this. And so as a result of that, in order to do any amount of due diligence, the full amount of the survey scope would be necessary. So we did release A&F for 100% of their survey scope, which was $23,600. And then we released them up to 40% on the remaining items of their scope in order to do proper due diligence to get us a number for the budget of that road before we proceed really any further with that towards a full design, full communication with the city for drainage and items such as that. So I don't know, Mr. Parks, if you wanted to add anything further to that.
40% was one of their milestones anyway that they had initially submitted, and I knew there'd be a cost estimate provided at that point that let us know, make sure that we are in the mark from a construction standpoint and whether we can proceed to full design. So I just thought that was a good marker, and it's not uncommon to do a partial notice to proceed like that.
So in addition to the full survey scope and the 40% of the remaining scope, we've released A&F Design for a total of $74,416 to get us a really, I suppose, in my world, I guess, a design development budget for what that road
40%
like.
Preliminary plans ready to go to begin plan reviews with municipalities and every permitting agencies. So
Perfect. Any questions on that road as of this time before we proceed? Okay. I'll go ahead and welcome Mr. Bob McKinney back to the podium from Stratalign. I was, in preparing for this board meeting, I generally look back a year and see what we did a year ago. It was at this very meeting in June of last year where Mr. McKinney joined us for the first time to share what he does and release him on a feasibility report. And I'll let him explain more about what that means. But again, a year ago, Mr. McKinney came to talk about energy conservation measures that the school corporation could invest in a means really to hedge against further electrical rate increases and other energy costs that are going up to save the district money in the operations fund. So what I'll do here is extend my screen and hopefully locate, well, I always lose my, here we go, and full screen. I'll go ahead and zoom. That's awesome. Apologies. Is that where you'd like to start, Mr.
Sure.
McKinney? I apologize.
Nope. Thank you, Mr. Dennis. Good evening, Board. My name is Bob McKinney. I'm with Stratalign. We are an energy services owner's rep firm. We work solely with owners to determine if there's a possibility to reduce energy overhead and energy unit cost. In June of last year, we were authorized to move forward with a study, and we delivered the findings of that study to the school in October of '24. Mr. Dennis indicated the need to wait until the new year, calendar year, to review. So that report was updated in January of '25 and shared with the board at that time, and we did a review together in February of '25. At that time, there were several key findings noted in the report, both short-term and long-term, to be determined by the school corporation. Quick highlight of the short-term were virtual energy management system, which brings visibility into how and when energy is being used. It also marries that usage up with the rate tariff each facility is on, so the school could make informed decisions. Two is commissioning and retro-commissioning of existing mechanical systems to work more optimally with their existing controls and in conjunction with the virtual energy management system. We also investigated the production of your own energy, whether it be solar, battery, microturbine. And then our findings did disclose there is some functionally obsolete equipment and some equipment heading in that direction. Not necessarily significant energy savings items, certainly energy savings items, but most notably for your long-term planning. At that meeting, we were given authorization to move forward with an RFP utilizing the data from our feasibility study. We advertised per statute in April for a guaranteed energy savings contract RFP response from qualified providers. We had 4 providers show up at our initial mandatory pre-bid meeting. After that meeting, 1 elected not to participate based on their current workload and inability to deliver a detailed RFP. They did ask if they could submit an RFQ, which is not the program we would recommend, and therefore we suggested that they not participate if they cannot meet the RFP standards. It was about a 2-month period that the RFP respondents worked with our firm and also here on site with John Triller and his staff, taking a little bit deeper dive into your existing control systems, getting a better understanding of what's working and what may not be working, where there's an opportunity for optimization, familiarity with the facilities, and also just any ECM requirement that they would be responding to was obtained at that time. In June, we received 3 responses. Brewer Garrett out of Cleveland, Ohio, Schneider Electric's Indiana office, and Verigy Energy out of Indiana as well. We interviewed each respondent and then scored both based on their best value financial return to the school corporation, as well as scoring on their qualifications. Each respondent scored incredibly well in both categories. It was a competitive process, and we appreciated all the work that the firms put into the RFP. Their findings mirrored Strataline's findings in our feasibility study. For an apples-to-apples comparison, we did ask them to bid specifically to several ECMs and one energy conservation measures and one alternate, so we could get an idea on pricing and value from energy savings. We also provided data and opportunity to collect more data on site and asked for a best value recommendation. Again, their best value recommendations mirrored what was found in our report. There were essentially 4 energy conservation measures, all providers commented on and/or engineered solutions to, those being the energy management system, the boilers, the solar and/or combined heat and power microturbines. Mr. Dennis, do you mind jumping in? I want to share in a little more specific the energy conservation measures in no particular order and what they mean. And these that are being shared are those from the best value provider. So the first being the energy management system and retro commissioning and commissioning. They work in conjunction with one another. Commissioning is, again, the optimization of your mechanical systems, both pre-functionally, which is on the control side, and functionally, which is on the parts that are operating based on the controls messaging. The virtual energy platform is the mechanism that informs us what decisions need to be made and when. This energy conservation measure, in our experience, other than lighting, going from an old T8 or T12 lighting system to LED lighting, is the most impactful ECM one can choose. It's the quickest payback. It's the lowest cost, highest impact item. So this is being recommended at all of your facilities as it was in our report. If you could just scroll down, I want
Sure.
to share an example.
Yeah, absolutely. And as we proceed, members of the board, just for context, when you see that energy savings amount, the Guaranteed Energy Savings Statute is a 20-year period. So those savings, that almost $5 million in savings from this represents 20 years of savings from this particular ECM. Is that fair?
Thank you for stating that. I'm sharing a dashboard from a client of ours, MSD Wayne. This is for a project that was completed in 2023. It's a little over 2 years old, approaching 2.5 years in age. Hard to see the top right energy report card. What's on the report card is each facility where work was performed, energy savings work, what its energy use intensity, which is the benchmark of a facility, how it's operating at that time, what's the current energy use intensity, and what are the dollars saved by the reduction. The bottom right corner, the energy demand profile, is my favorite picture to talk to. The middle part where the energy is low, where those colored graph lines are low, that's actually from 7 p.m. until 5 a.m. there in the middle. And what that's showing is, again, this is a 2-year-old project, so this school corporation has gotten their facilities into shape. They're operating as they should. Your demand, the energy that you are requiring from the power company instantaneously should be lower during those hours or on or about those hours. It's when you're not operating. So that's what we refer to as reducing energy overhead, which is not using energy when you do not need to be. At 5 a.m., there on the right, where you start to see the graph climb, that's where we get into programming the systems to maximize the rate tariff that they're on. So instead of turning on a chiller from 0 to 100, or a boiler, or your kitchen equipment, it's phased on, so you keep your KW below a certain ratchet, a certain threshold. And then as the day goes and gets warmer, your air is continuing to cool, and then it continues until the evening when both activities for the day start to wind down and the temperatures, in this case it was spring, start to cool down a little bit, and you go back into the overhead reduction hours from evening until early morning. So that's an ideal chart. I was on a call with a client this week. We just completed a project with energy management. The colored graphs are all at the top line going straight across. So we have a lot of an opportunity to dial their systems in and reduce what we like to call energy overhead and do that first. So this is an example of a report card that would come with your virtual energy management system. It's real time and it's continuous. So we're continually monitoring The contract, if you were to move forward, is continuous monitoring. So we're constantly commissioning the systems to ensure they're operating at maximum efficiency. The second ECM was solar. There are a small number of facilities we had identified that would be impacted maximally from solar energy. One is your current admin building, and the reason for that is it's on what we would call a solar-friendly rate tariff. It's the only building on this tariff in your school corporation, meaning kilowatt hours is all you are charged for, and solar energy creates kilowatt hours very predictably. Your New Central Elementary in Harney, their kilowatt hour usage profile aligned best with the solar production cycle out of all of your facilities. Each facility was evaluated and scored. These scored the highest. So unlike our study where we evaluated all of them, we would recommend a best value at these 3 locations. Again, boiler replacement. We worked with Mr. Triller and his team. These particular boilers are either functionally obsolete and repairs do not make sense. We did evaluate with his team repair and a maintenance agreement for a hopefully lower cost, extend their useful life, and it wasn't feasible. So going from current CAMUS systems to new high efficiencies would increase energy savings, albeit not significantly. It was noteworthy. And then during a recent construction project, there were 2 existing fan power boxes, I believe, that were not included in the plans and specifications. They're now located above architectural cloud fixture, so the servicing of these would be quite costly each time you needed to change a filter or when other required maintenance is necessary. Plus, they are near the end of their useful life as they weren't addressed in the plans and specifications. During our evaluation, we learned that those VAVs can be replaced with fan power boxes and relocated, and there isn't a need for a filter on those. So a little bit of operational cost savings as well, not noted here.
Before moving on to the next, I think it's worth mentioning that $108,000, when you look at the previous 2 ECMs, it looks unimpressive. The other 2 are in the order of millions of dollars, whereas this is $100,000. I think it's relevant to share that we would be doing this replacement anyway, replacing these boilers anyway. Whether we were doing an energy project or not, these boilers would need to be replaced. Since these are the types of contractors that are involved in these types of projects, mechanical contractors, it makes sense to do this at that time. And what I appreciate about Mr. McKinney's approach to the way he does these RFPs is really disallowing the inclusion of operational cost savings, such as, hey, you're replacing these boilers, so the time that your HVAC staff would be turning wrenches on these boilers, now you're not doing that because they're new. You could quantify that in labor hours for those staff members, parts that you purchase for those. While I agree those are savings, I appreciate Mr. McKinney not including those in the, and specifically requesting that they not be shared as savings in these projects, although we understand that there is value to that. However, what we're reporting on tonight is just the tangible value in dollars and cents of the energy savings associated with what was proposed.
And then the last ECM that we discussed in our February meeting and that came to light in a lot more detail as we expected were what are called microturbines. So a turbine or a generator in its most simple concept is a device that generates electricity. The opportunity for a generator here initially is twofold. Number one, the rate tariffs that all but one of your facilities are on is you're primarily charged for KW, which is the energy you may draw at any particular time. The power company has to have that available to you. They also understand that that's less impacted by solar, which has really kind of taken over the Indiana market, and utility companies are learning from each other, and they're changing their rate tariffs to better serve their business. And there are a lot of schools on this similar demand rate looking for ways to shave KW. So this is not a new concept. This is a concept that has been deployed for dozens of years. Their technology, their air-bearing technology, so it's very low maintenance. They're small, and they're set in conjunction with one another. So they're a 65 kW device at your high school. I believe the design reflects 7 of them, and at your middle school, I believe it reflects 2 or 3. This second benefit is it provides free heat. So the reason the high school and the middle school were selected was that your high school, they're large facilities, and you need to run a boiler year-round. In the summertime, air is overcooled to dehumidify a building. You don't want 55-degree air pumping into a classroom, so a boiler kicks on to warm, believe it or not, warm the air up so it comes out at what it's called for, between 68 and 72 degrees. The other element that's at your high school is a swimming pool, and the boiler runs all summer long to additionally heat that pool. A boiler, unfortunately, the boilers that are in existence here have to reach a certain load to operate. So there's a lot of heat being generated that's not necessary, and we call those either the shoulder months or the low need months. These generators put off heat, and so that heat is now going to be piped into your boiler system. So that heat is what would be heating your reheat when overcooling takes place to dehumidify and to heat your swimming pool. It would also provide heat during the months when it's not super cold, therefore maximizing the efficiency of your current boiler system. So these truly are about 99% energy efficient. Their only efficiency is their scheduled maintenance, which is less than 2 hours a year.
Where are those placed? You say they're small.
Yeah.
Where do you put these?
Yeah, good question. We've shown them in the initial design. Mr. Triller has some additional ideas of where he would like to have them go, but they sit on a pad near your, like an existing electric transformer. So if you think of, typically you have a transformer, and then on the other side of the wall of the building, like close to a transformer, is a main distribution electric panel, and that's typically in your utility room where the boilers are located. So a typical location would be by a transformer. Mr. Triller had some thoughts on where specifically he may want to see them, so it hasn't been finalized. The school would have final say.
How small is
The dimensions of that particular, now it may sit on a pad. There's a concrete pad and then stabilizers underneath it, but that particular, so it adds a tiny bit of height. That particular unit, I believe, is 60 inches tall and 24 inches wide.
So basically a file cabinet.
Yeah, they are small. I mean,
Yeah.
It's all relative. I mean, I don't know what small is.
There's some really
relative
big
in the
ones.
HVAC world.
We like redundancy in smaller ones, and then they're easier to look at.
Mr. McKinney, what's the fuel that those use to
Yeah,
operate?
these they run on all sorts of fuel. These were designed to run on natural gas.
So these will be our natural gas service that comes in
Yes.
through our utility. As I've had the opportunity with very few people to share the concepts that were presented to us, this one in particular, I hate to break decorum, but it's just cool to me that basically, I mean, this would be the same technology that power plants are converting to generate electricity on a large scale. When we're talking about coal-fired power plants moving to propane or natural gas, they're ultimately spinning a turbine. I know I'm oversimplifying this, but I mean, it's essentially a mini power plant on our facilities generating electricity. I mean,
Yeah.
fair?
Yep, that's fair.
And then just the ability to utilize the heat that's going to be produced in any combustion process to provide the reheat, so our boilers don't have to fire for our HVAC in the cooling months, and obviously the boiler that's running constantly to keep our swimming pool, our competition pool, at a constant temperature, to use that energy as a byproduct of this. Again, I'll scroll up, but this is the big one in terms of the savings.
Before we jump into the financials of the best value provider, I want to go back to the board meeting and to our role as an owner's rep. All procurements allow for various methods to allow a project to be procured. Energy savings allows for elements that, while aren't detrimental, may cloud your decision-making. Mr. Dennis touched on one of them, operational savings. Operational savings can be calculated. There's an energy engineering standard that's been accepted by the state. It's not legitimate. It's fairly liberal, and it really should be determined by the owner. And so when we evaluate and score responses, we do not consider that. It's a subjective item, and really your maintenance team and CFO should determine what's real in that category. The other area for misinformation would be the maintenance and operations of the items that you're purchasing. So in our RFP responses, we require that 5 years of maintenance and operation and warranties extend beyond that, are covered. We also ask that years 6 through 20 are priced. Now, you can choose to purchase those now or later, whatever fund you want to purchase them out. We just want you to know what we call the levelized cost of energy. What is your real cost of owning something? 2 more pieces. Finance cost. What is the value after you pay for all this and finance it? And then the final piece are how are the energy savings not only calculated, but how are they guaranteed? So that's the other mechanism that is a bit misunderstood. There's actually 4 ways a contractor can guarantee energy savings. It's referred to in statute as options A, B, C, or D. A is what we would personally consider the second best. It has to be monitored and verified. B is the best, and it works really well with your energy conservation measures. It's separately metered and monitored. So solar, you're producing energy, it's finite. We know how much you're going to make, or how much you're projected to make and how much you made. Same from a turbine. A is going to be utilized, it is going to be measured and verified. The only adjustments that are made is if the contractor recommended you set your chiller back at night and that's ignored, they would note that and say, look, we're not making the students uncomfortable by doing it. It's during overnight hours. We don't have control of that. We need to subtract that out of the calculation. But everything that you see in the financials will be scored, monitored, verified, and because of the virtual energy management, it's public facing. You will see it. There's no funny math, and then as your CM and owner's rep, we can do it in perpetuity, but for that 5 years that everybody else has priced in the O&M, we will validate that on your behalf. And it has to be reported on an annual basis.
And what happens if they don't save that?
So if under option B, if the microturbines or the solar do not generate the kilowatt hours and kW savings that have been modeled, the entity, the guaranteed energy savings contractor, has to write a check for the delta. Part of our RFP response, 2 parts. One is we want to understand the financial strength of the respondents, income statement, balance sheet. More importantly, because any business can go out of business. More importantly, how they handled that when it has happened. So each respondent had to disclose if it's happened and how they solved it. Each respondent has hundreds of millions of dollars of guaranteed energy savings out there. Each had less than a half dozen that missed. That means they're prudent in the way they're putting their proposals together. They're hedging. Each respondent, I know one for sure hedged. I think their numbers could be better. They don't want them to be because they're financially guaranteeing them. Yeah. In our experience in doing that, I've been doing this since 2012. Most of the time, your savings will exceed what was modeled. So there was a second piece. I just lost my train of thought. The other thing that we've seen all 3 respondents do, and this is, in our opinion, a best practice, they're not just going to write you the check for the delta. They're going to come in and, like, if a system was misengineered and it was too small, they're going to invest in right-sizing it so they don't have to keep writing a check.
Financials?
Yeah, please, sorry. Okay, as Mr. Dennis indicated, these financials were evaluated over a 20-year period. The assumptions that were used were the same that were used in our study. They were set by us. Utility inflation, 5% a year. That has been the public utility average for all rate tariffs in Indiana since 2004. Since 2022, we've seen a much more rampant increase. While your rate tariff did not raise your prices in 2024, Lebanon Utilities did have an ordinance, an order passed with the IURC that allowed them to modify their pricing based on wholesale cost. So it's a variable, it could go down, but just to put it in perspective, in the first quarter of '24, your KWH rate went up because of that allowance by 3 cents, which is 21%. It fell back down to a base, but I checked today that the second and third quarter rates have not been published there. And further looking into why, Lebanon Communities did file to decouple from the IURC. It was passed by a city ordinance, but the filings aren't public yet. There's like one more filing. It may have been filed. We just couldn't locate it. So that is an assumption that is made in these. Otherwise, these are all savings calculated by the respondents but verified by our firm. So it's all real math based on, if it's solar, it's based on the size of the array and the soiling components, the radiance factor, all the things that we're used to talking about and looking at are modeled. The good news is all three respondents were very similar in their calculations, which means people are doing their job right. So over a 20-year period, again, the financial savings from the ECMs we reviewed were about $16.7 million. There was about $618,000 in energy tax credits. Why would a tax-exempt entity get a tax credit? It's allowed under the Inflation Reduction Act. The Inflation Reduction Act is being modified as we speak. The House put forth a reconciliation bill that's going to sunset the investment tax credit within 60 days of the bill being signed, unless you have a contract in place and a 5% safe harbor. The Senate has revised that, and they are sunsetting it after 2025, same conditions. So according to the tax firm involved with Verigy, and based on our diligence, we're members of an organization that's been lobbying in DC and working really hard to try to protect this thing. There is a window to still secure that credit. We believe that whether it's 60 days or through the end of the year, in either case, if you elected to move forward, that timeline could be met. If that were to change between now and any time you elected to move forward, if you do, we would notify you. So combined, there's about a $17.3 million project benefit to your school's operating fund. Year one utility savings, $485,000, a reduction, and you're at about $1 million today. That's about the same amount that surprised you several years ago when they changed your rate tariff without notifying you. Net project benefit, cost of the energy conservation measures, operations and maintenance, subscription fees, fuel costs, interest, construction management fee, all accounted for, leaves you with a $1.438 million plus over a 20-year period.
It's important to note that in that number that's years 6 through 20. Obviously, as part of the RFP, the respondents had to include years 1 through 5 of maintenance on their energy conservation measures, but that includes years 6 through 20 if we decide to purchase that up front. And the reason that net is the way it is obviously with financing this, there are interest costs as well. And so with those interest costs factored in, and I have asked our underwriter to run this and show what the interest costs would be on that amount of principal to invest in this. And so the delta between the 20-year benefit that we receive as well as the finance cost, principal, and interest of what would fund this is just shy of $1.5 million net benefit to the district as a result of this.
So why is the year one so much, I mean, such a high proportion of it's, I mean, $500,000 the first year, and
Well, it
then-
would be higher in the subsequent years.
Okay. Okay.
The way I factored when I divided the 17 million by 20 is it's almost 800,000. That's right at $800,000 annually. So now, Mr. McKinney could speak maybe to why that's so low compared to the other years. If
No, I was saying, okay, 1.4 over 20 year.
Okay, so the savings are borne entirely by the operations fund. So when we factor in the debt service
Yeah.
for this,
Yeah.
all 17.3 million will be experienced by the operations fund in savings.
Okay. I just wanted.
That's a fair question. Our firm evaluates one thing: is there a net benefit to the project? You can determine if beyond that there is or isn't a benefit. That's the $1.4 million. Does this really pay for itself? Are you really generating savings? Indiana school law allows for debt to be paid out of one fund and operation out of another, and therefore I think the very enticing number potentially for a school corporation, at least for our other clients, is the top number, the 16.7 million. We noted earlier there are additional these were not factored in. Just wanted to note we are replacing a number of boilers and VAV boxes. There's an allowance. So when you do retro commissioning and commissioning, you find broken actuators and dampers and small pieces and parts. There is an allowance in there of $310,000 to repair those items. If you don't spend that money, you can do what you want with it. And then the full disclosure contract cost, again, the all-inclusive number, if you did prepay for O&M for 20 years, the O&M and the subscription fees combined with your cost of the ECMs would be about $13.175 million, interest included.
So I think the importance of this project, and there's no action asked of the board this evening. I'll explain what further instruction I need momentarily. Obviously, in our normal budget sessions that are coming up over the summer, as they always do, we have a large conversation to have about Senate Enrolled Act 1 and the implications that it has to LCSC's operations fund. At this time, our ability to raise funds in debt service is nowhere near as limited as our ability to increase funds in the operations. I'm sorry, I should say we will have very little ability to raise revenue in the operations fund. Our only choice is to limit expenditures moving forward, which is what this project shows. And so that's why I wanted to offer the full transparency. It would be very easy to speak this evening on the $17.3 million of savings, but I think it's worthwhile to note that there is a finance cost with this. You know, obviously purchasing the service is one thing, but obviously the interest associated as well. And we've done our due diligence to learn what that interest cost would be, and the net benefit is that $1.4 million number that you see. So really asking from the board this evening, if it's the board's pleasure, to notify Verigy to begin preparing the contract. And this will be a different contract than the board is used to me bringing, let's say, after a bid day for a construction project. And Mr. McKinney, you can jump in and correct me or add more information, but the information in these guaranteed energy savings contracts is going to involve some final looks at their engineering and ultimately the number that they're going to guarantee us. But it should not be less than what we're seeing here this evening. Otherwise, obviously, I would notify the board. This is not a quick contract process. Especially with the July 4th holiday coming up, I don't believe we could bring a contract to you for the July meeting. It's much more likely at the August meeting that would take place. But essentially bringing the results of this year-long process now to the board to learn the board's appetite to perform a project such as this. I think it's important to state once again that these numbers assume a 5% electric rate increase year over year, which is what it has been for some time. It does not have to stay that way. We know the changes that are coming to Boone County, and Lebanon Utilities has to provide electricity for the changes that are coming to Boone County. I don't pretend to know how Lebanon Utilities finances their infrastructure investments, but I would imagine it has something to do with current ratepayers, of which we are one. And so really bringing a hedge for future energy savings to the board this evening. So at this time, happy to answer any questions. Again, no action, but at this time we would like to give Verigy the notification to proceed with the contract documents to ultimately bring that to the board. And what that ultimately means is yes, we want to do an energy savings project. So at this time, either of us happy to answer any questions.
Is there any particular ECM that yields better savings out of that 1.438?
So as scoring the ECMs, if you want to look at like dollars invested for savings, the retro commissioning and virtual energy management combination, bad math, a little under $2 million investment up front and a $4.8 million benefit. I would say that is the most advantageous quick. I mean, if you want to look at payback and score them on that, which is what we typically do initially, that's going to be depending on finance, a 3 to 4 year payback. The next lowest hanging fruit as far as payback goes would be microturbine. Microturbines, as stated, are offsetting your higher expense electricity, and it runs and is 99% efficient and provides free heat. So payback an item like that is in the 8-year mark. And then we really prefer, as we discussed in our February board meeting, we really don't like to see a solar solution until we've right-sized your building. So when we do our analysis of your facilities, we're looking at the ECMs that can be tackled for the least cost with the highest benefit, giving you visibility into how you're using energy, both from a cost per unit perspective, but that energy overhead. Then once we've shrunk that, sizing solar's then appropriate. Solar's a great long-term hedge. It's a 25-year product. You're fixing your price of electricity for that portion for 25 years and avoiding inflation. So while its payback, I think, is somewhere in the, before a tax credit, let's assume you don't get it, 13-year range. It is an asset that lasts 2x, so we like to see it as a hedge in the mix. I don't know if that answers your question or.
Yeah, it does. I mean, and it's just, and it's kind of like even for me looking at this in terms of a 20-year commitment on the financing side of this, wanting to make sure that we're not committing to things that either are going to be obsolete. I know solar, there's a lot of data on solar in terms of how long it's been around and the longevity of that. So my concern is making sure that, we're not going to be having a conversation in 10, 15 years where we haven't met our goals and then someone's coming in and saying, well, actually, we should have actually been upgrading you to this better technology. So now here, if you write us another check for another thing, and we can actually meet these goals, and then we're dealing with more financing, higher expenditures, so that 1.438, net project benefit gets hammered down.
Yeah.
And Mr. Clauser, I apologize. This probably would have cleared something, and I'm not saying, all valid points. I should have shared the payback of the financing plus interest. I asked them to run over a 10-year payback.
Okay.
So we'd be paying this project back in 10
Okay.
for 15 years beyond of benefit.
Yeah.
And I may have missed that too.
I didn't share it. No, you're absolutely correct. I did not share it.
Mr. Clauser, valid points. We try to do our best not to predict. We try to be factual. I've been an owner of solar energy since 2012. The one thing that I can tell you has changed is the output per square foot. So my first installation today could be done in a square footage that's 1/4 of that size, but the efficiency is still about, and don't let this number scare you, but it's about a 22% efficiency because it's dark a lot of the times or it's winter time versus a generator that's 99% efficient. But it is a low cost, tried and true technology that you absolutely would not argue it'll take up less of a footprint even 3 years from now than if you move forward today. And again, we try to be as prudent as possible with regards to how much of an ECM is being considered. If it's controls related, controls are very, again, low cost, high impact. When it's energy generation, like to see it a mix, and that's why we really leaned towards the combined heat and power solution and a little bit of solar so you're not going all in on one technology.
I don't think we have any more questions, so.
Okay. Well, we will proceed and notify Verigy to begin working through the contract process, likely come back in August with that.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. McKinney.
Thank you for your time, appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks.
All right, Dr. Milliman, first reading policy update on policy 8500.
Yes, thanks to Mr. Martin, Mr. Anstead for working on this. This is a often revised policy in our policy world. There seems to always be changes regarding food service from the federal or state or both. So this reflects their hard work on that. We will be bringing several policy first readings to the board here in the next 2 months when Mrs. Belcher and I have some office time to get through the stack in our office. And I will also just mention, I know that we had discussed in our policy development committee with board members potential move to another vendor that has not gone off the radar, but it has certainly been on the fringe of the radar for a while. So we'll be bringing that conversation back, and I believe that's Mrs. Hutchison and Mr. Havlin. So just for the board's information, we will start moving in that direction in the future as well. But happy to answer any questions, Mr. Martin and Mr. Anstey. You can see that was a pretty heavy edit in this policy.
Any questions? All right, thank you. And legislative update, Dr. Milliman.
There's always legislative updates. I won't spend too much time on that tonight. I think at last count, there's about 24 policies or legislative action that affects public schools. We're sifting through that now. The Department of Education sent out a guidance document that we've been eagerly awaiting on Friday. So we're sifting through that. Just a forecast for the board, we're asking for approval of our handbooks this evening. I anticipate bringing our handbooks back to the board for revisions at least 2 more times would be my conservative estimate as we sift through these policies. And we do have online handbooks now, so we're able to make those adjustments. It's just there's a lot of material to get through and to get the wording right and work with our professional partners and attorneys to get the policy written. So that's the big one for us. We'll continue to share financial and school funding updates to the board. I would encourage folks who follow board meetings that the August meeting or prior to the August meeting we'll have our annual budget work session, and we'll get into the weeds a little bit more on school finance and the legislation around Senate Bill 1 and House Bill 1001. That's all I have this evening.
Okay, thank you. Moving on to consent agenda, staff matters.
Thank you for classified staff this evening, asking for approval of a leave of absence number 1068, new hires 1069 through 1074, resignations 1075 through 1084, retirement 1085, and transfer 1086, and a adjustment in wage scale number 1087. For our certified staff this evening, leave of absence number 321, new hires 322 through 336, resignations 337 through 340, and for ECAs, several Lebanon Middle School coaching positions across various seasons there as well. I will not list all of them for you this evening.
Okay, thank you. Any questions about those? Those were in our briefing notes. Can I have a motion to approve the classified, certified, and ECA staff as presented?
I'll make that motion.
Thank you, Mr. Hendricks. Can I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Parks. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay, thank you.
I will mention in our classified consent agenda, just approved by the board. Happy to have John Triller with us this evening, sitting in the back of the room. Mr. Triller has been with us, as you know, for many years and has applied for the open position, and you just approved him as our new director of buildings and grounds. He's a familiar face to our staff, well known by our principals, And I know he's eager to join us as an official member of our team. So, John, anything you'd like to say or just wave at the board?
Thank you very much, and I really look forward to becoming a real.
Thank you.
No one has more intimate knowledge of our buildings than Mr. Triller, and he has been instrumental through our building projects, to our architects, construction management firms. I know in Bob's case, was always on call to answer his questions. So John's been nothing but professional, and we're thrilled he's with us. Thanks for being here tonight, John.
Thank you. Thank you. Business matters, financial update, Mr. Dennis.
Thank you, Mrs. Hutchison. As always, board provided in your packet this evening would be the expense chart for the month, as well as the month-over-month performance through the end of this year. As always, happy to answer any questions on that, or I can get straight into the claims.
Any questions? All right, you can go straight to claims.
Prior to reading these numbers, as always, board, this is June, and these include our debt payments for the first half of this year. So the number will be a touch higher than we're used to hearing on the other 10 months of the year. So two payrolls, May 23rd and June 6th, totaling $2,481,253.40. Claims for the month totaling $12,981,934.13, for a total between the two of $15,463,187.53.
Any questions on those claims? Okay, can I have a motion to approve the claims as presented by Mr. Dennis?
I'll move to approve as read.
Thank you. Can I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. All in favor say aye.
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 Anyone opposed? All right, thank you. Mrs. Beltran, do we have any comments from the public? Okay. We'll move on to action items. Mr. Dennis, change orders.
Thank you, Mrs. Hutchison. A few change orders this evening, worth noting, and certainly willing to answer any questions about. The elementary projects up at the top, just really showing some fairly standard changes in terms of size for this month. Nearing an end to those projects, there will come a date when I will hide those rows on this document because we are closed out on all those contracts, but we are getting there. Middle school had a wet slab before we put the terrazzo down, and terrazzo doesn't like, nor does any flooring like, being laid on top of a floor with a higher relative humidity than the manufacturers would warrant. So I did have to take some drying measures for that, and that's the cost that you see to Santa Rosa. Again, JBM, we're used to having individualized change orders through our Gibraltar projects on the elementary projects. Just a reminder, as always, with Schmidt, that JBM, it's a combination of many of the individual change orders. So it does look sizable, but that's many smaller. But again, happy to speak to any of those. The Payne Electric cost, last month we talked about the relocation of the sump pump out at transportation out towards the road. You're seeing the electrical cost for that in this month for transportation. Moving down to Stokes, again, this is the second or third we've seen of these, but the layman's, the return of unused allowance, we're going to start seeing a lot of those come in with Central Elementary, so dollars returning to our budget as contractors are releasing that unused allowance. And then, truthfully, we continue to run into issues with site work at this facility as we prepare the ground just to our north here, but you're seeing the result of two rather sizable change orders for site work due to unforeseen conditions with the underground location of mainly of domestic water, and inserting some isolation valves so that we can isolate some of the loops of water coming into these buildings, and as well as some storm pipes. So happy to talk about any of those if the board has questions. Otherwise, appreciate your consideration of those change orders this evening.
Any questions on the change orders?
3176 for an HDMI connection.
So that's making a run. It's once the walls are drywalled.
I was gonna say I got like a box of them.
I appreciate that.
No real questions.
Okay. Can I have a motion to approve the change orders as presented by Mr. Dennis?
I'll make that motion.
Okay, I will second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right. agreement with Rocket Alumni Solutions for athletic pictures, Mr. Dennis.
So the board, many of you, all of you, have attended many athletic events here, and the two halls surrounding Rosensteel are lined with pictures of conference champions, state champions, sectional champions from many years in the past. And through the redesign and the renovation of that hallway, the decision was made to honor those folks really so that they can be viewed from anywhere on the planet. And so that involves digitizing those photos. And as a part of this, there's a software subscription that comes with this. We're going to have 3 recessed areas in those hallways where touchscreens will be placed. And should anyone want to come see those, they'll be able to navigate through that. But we'll also have that on our athletics website as well. But as a part of that, I am bringing to the board this evening that software vendor, Rocket Alumni Solutions. Some interesting aspects to Rocket Alumni that is unlike any other software vendor we're working with is should the board approve this evening, that will be the price we pay Rocket for the duration of our engagement forever. They have what's known as legacy pricing. So whereas we're seeing about a 5% annual increase from our other software vendors in the school corporation, the price that we lock into this evening is the price that we pay forever. And so as you see on the second page of the agreement, they're offering us 5 options, whether we want to do it year by year or pay 5 years at a time. If you pay more than 1 year up front, you do receive a discount. And so we do have the ability to pay that. And so asking the board for approval for the 5-year option with Rocket Alumni Solution. And they are also extending a one-time initial startup credit of $1,000. So basically $3,000 for the first year and then $4,000 every year after. We'll do this once. 5 years from now, we'll do it again for the exact same price. So just wanted to explain that legacy pricing as it is. Not standard and seen nowhere else with any of our software vendors. So happy to answer any questions about that, but again, this allows us to digitize all of our photos that we have of our former teams and individual accolades and digitize them on our website as well as in our hallways.
What will happen to the actual physical photos?
So we don't want to get rid of those, obviously. I know they're all sitting in Mr. Levine's office right now at this moment. I'm sure he's looking for a new location for those. But we want to protect those in the archives somewhere in the school corporation, whether it be the old Central Elementary that's going to accept our document retention forever, but not doing it to dispose of them, but certainly to consolidate the walls and basically allow for the eventually, we're going to run out of space on those walls. You keep adding pictures to them. So this is going to allow us to consolidate those and have infinite space forever.
Will we take the photo, then just add photos, the new ones that go up, then from here on out?
So new ones will be scanned in, digital copy,
yeah,
and then
digital
displayed
copy,
in that manner.
displayed,
Yep.
yeah. Is there any costs to do that, or is that?
This is it.
That's something.
This is, yep. So we're storing in their cloud, so this is not new server space for us. So this is the cost for as many pictures. They do have other services. They do a lot of things. You can scan in old yearbooks. That would be an additional cost, but it may be something that folks would like to see all the editions of the Cedars that we have going back to the original one.
Any other questions about this contract? Okay. Can I have a motion to approve the agreement with Rocket Alumni Solutions for team pictures going forward?
Yeah, I'll move to approve that under the 5-year agreement as proposed.
Thank you. Can I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right. Thank you, Mr. Dennis. Mrs. LaCrone, the 25-26 elementary handbooks.
What we've all been waiting for.
I know. Good evening, guys. I know you were provided this before, so are there any questions that you had about any changes? The biggest one that we wanted to bring up as principals was just to say we're probably going to be bringing this back for quite a few revisions.
There's quite a bit with our new attendance
Attendance.
policies from
Yeah.
the state of Indiana. We've been waiting on the state to supply us with the official, what's the right word, terms, labels for
Labels.
absences.
Yeah.
And we received that on Friday, but we needed to get these approved so we could get registration going. So we'll,
Sure.
any revisions we give, of course, we'll use Parent Square to communicate those are changes that have happened. So appreciate Dr. Dye and Mrs. Acrone and all the other administrators being here this evening to answer your questions if you have them. Thanks for your hard work on this.
Thanks.
Thanks.
If there are no questions, can I have a motion to approve the 25-26 elementary handbook?
I'll make that motion.
Thank you. I will second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right, thank you. Mr. Dunshee. The LMS handbook.
Good evening. I'm just going to highlight a couple of them. Obviously, with construction up on the hill, it's been interesting having PE with no gym, no locker rooms, no. We also got rid of, because the state of Indiana no longer reimburses for PE uniforms, we could no longer offer students PE uniforms with the expense in their book fees. So that's gone away. So we did add one thing back in here with our PE because we're getting locker rooms back. So we are going to have the kids dressing out, and part of the requirement is you dress for PE. So we put some consequences in there for that. That was probably the biggest highlight. We updated the cheating guidelines to refer to IA, the use of IA, and how that is also considered cheating, because they say, no, I just used AI, yes, IA, AI. My IAs cheat too. AI, there we go. And then the rest of it, like I said, is attendance things on there. And then we added one on extracurricular items. We didn't have anything that said what constituted excluding a student from attending a dance or something like that. Athletic handbooks have all those requirements, but we had some students that were not being very studently, and we decided they shouldn't also be dancers. So we put some requirements in there for being able to attend dances. So those are kind of the key highlights of what I had. If you have any questions for me, I'd be happy to answer them.
Okay, if there are no questions, can I have a motion to approve the 25-26 LMS handbook as presented?
I'll make that motion.
Thank you, Mr. Hendricks. Can I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Thank you, Mr. Dunshee.
Thank you.
Dr. Milliman, the LHS handbook.
Actually, I think Mrs. Scott is
Mrs. Scott.
standing in for me.
All right.
So you have the handbook in front of you along with our proposed changes that Mr. Rotabal has outlined for our revisions for 25-26. Like Mr. Dunshee said, a lot of the things have just been updated to reflect changes as far as wording, spelling, grammatical. There have been changes made to our drug testing policy. You'll find in pages 61 through 65, just to condense it and make it a little bit easier to navigate and understand. Any questions?
All right. Seeing no questions, can I have a motion to approve the 25-26 LHS handbook?
So moved.
And I will second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right. Mr. Levine, the LHS athletic handbook.
And as the other handbooks, you have that in front of you. Just some minor changes, basically to correct what awards and honors are given out at Honors Night compared to our athletic awards nights, and then the added addition of boys volleyball. And the last thing is our eligibility dates that we are required to give to the IHSA for academic performance for our student athletes. We're resorting back to what we've done in the past with the 4 grading dates instead of the multiple ones. We determined this year that the midterms were not really an accurate description of how our kids were performing for various reasons.
Okay. Any questions, Mr. Levine? All right. I will make a motion to approve the LHS athletic handbook. Can I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Mr. Parks. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right. Thank you. Dr. Milliman, the 26-27 district calendar.
Yes, once again, thank you to Mr. Martin for his work on the calendar, and we received several comments. We did respond to those comments in a email to everyone to kind of highlighted the most frequent comments about it. There is no perfect calendar, but as we've talked about many times, we have to go 180 student days, and so you have to fit those in and try to balance your semesters as closely as you can to 90 days in each semester. We're off by, I think, about 3 or 4 days in this calendar, But it did fit rather nicely in allowing us to continue with the Friday off before spring break, which seems to be relatively popular, and a longer built-in weekend for President's Day weekend, even with the flex day. There is a potential weather day, so I think we're guaranteed at least a 3-day weekend in February, which is always nice. And we did return graduation to the Friday of Memorial Weekend on this particular calendar, just the way that the calendar circled back. So happy to get this approved, and then Mrs. Buis can get it up on the website and advertised to the community.
Any questions or comments about the calendar? And I know that's hard to put together, so thank you for all your work on that. Can I have a motion to approve the district calendar as presented?
I'll make that motion.
Thank you, Mr. Parks. Can I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Hendricks. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right, thank you. Moving on, Dr. Milliman, to hiring certified and non-certified staff.
Yes, this is a request of the board that the board would give the superintendent authority to officially offer and hire staff here during the months of June and July. If we are competing for talent, this gives me the authority to make that official offer to employees. This would sunset in August, but gives us that authority to do that. So,
Board, can I have a motion to approve giving him limited authority to hire during the summer when we need it the most, to hire our great teachers and staff?
I'll make that motion.
Thank you, Mr. Parks. Can I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Clauser. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right. Administrative contracts.
thank you, Mrs. Hutchison. We have administrative contracts for the administrators listed and the length of years listed as well. Does not include a list of administrators who are on their initial 2-year contracts. So those would come in a subsequent year. Bringing this as their contracts are sunsetting, and this gives them a contract for next school year. This does not include a pay increase of any kind. This is moving the contract into the next school year. So respectfully asking for approval of administrative contracts.
Can I have a motion to approve the administrative contracts as presented in our background notes?
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Clauser. Can I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Mr. Parks. Any comments or discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right, thank you. Now we're also going to include the superintendent's contract here. Again, this does not increase the base salary or structure of the contract with monetary value. It just aligns it with other district administration. We'll say that Dr. Milliman, we just had our annual review of Dr. Milliman, and so it kind of falls and coincides nicely with this contract discussion. So any questions or comments about superintendent's contract? Can I have a motion to approve the superintendent's contract as presented?
I'll make that motion.
Thank you, Mr. Hendricks. Can I have a second?
I'll second.
Any comments or questions? All right, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Thank you. Dr. Milliman, school police wage recommendations.
Yes, we bring our school police department annually to the board in June, as they're on a July 1 to June 30th cycle. So the information in front of you reflects recommended salary/wage increases for our school police officers.
Great. Can I have a motion to approve the school police wage salaries as recommended?
I'll make that motion.
Thank you, Mr. Parks, and Mr. Hendricks, second. Any comments or questions? I would just like to say thank you to all of our officers and helping us keep our kids safe, and I look forward to seeing them in their new offices, actually. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right, thank you. Our upcoming board meeting and events, registration opens on July 7th, right? So, wow, that's coming up quite fast.
It is fast.
Our next regular board meeting is July 15th, right here in this room at 7 PM.